Hey everyone, this is your favorite radio host, your only radio host, and of course, favorite girl, Corinne Lafont from Between the Lines, broadcasting to you from Trinidad and Tobago, the lovely island in the Caribbean. And I have with me William Cummings, and you know, William is also known as Bill. I don't know why they always say Bill for William, but William will probably explain that. And he is one in the series that I'm doing, free series on saluting dads. We recently had Father's Day a few days ago, this week, and I decided as one of my way of giving back to be able to help change the perception as well that women have of men, of dads. You know, dads are men, and although there are some women who are dads too, but we're really focusing on the men here. Yeah, the men. And to really help women to understand the man that they have in their life, meaning their husband, their fathers, or the friends, colleagues at work, to be able to relate. And you see his lovely wife moving around, doesn't matter, we'd love to have her. You know, so William is here to kind of share his experience. The first two men that I spoke to earlier, I mean, they're younger than he is, so I think it's working out pretty well. That, you know, we're having somebody a bit older to bring some more wisdom to this series of saluting dad. So William, thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate very much being invited.
How old are you, William, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I don't mind at all. After you get to be 80, you can brag about your age again.
How old are you, 80?
87.
87. You know, it's a funny thing you say that. When you're younger, like when you reach like in your 30s, 40s, you don't want to tell anybody your age. What the hell is going on with that? And as you get older, you suddenly you realize, I don't give a XYZ what anybody thinks now. I can tell my age. Why? Why it is that people don't want to share their age when they're younger?
Why not? Well, I think there's a golden rule somewhere that says after 20, you can't brag about it until you're 80.
Oh, there's a golden rule. Who wrote that rule? It sounds like you.
You're right.
Anne would say you're right.
Yeah, because how did you know it was a golden rule?
because that's when I quit bragging about my age.
Oh my goodness.
I hated 30. I hated it with a passion.
You hated 30? Why?
I don't know. I thought that was over the hill.
But so what is 87? Under the hill?
Oh, 87. Then I realized my dentist told me that the age of man is 120.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got 33 years to go. So I got a lot of living to do.
So you're still pretty young.
I feel young. I do shows and speaking and write books.
What are you saying? Is that because of the wife you have, the lovely wife, have you doing all those things?
Well, I did those all when I was young. I'm a big dreamer.
Yeah.
And I give a ministry talk about is everything in your life a dream to the Stonecroft Ministries, which is international.
Nice.
And it's a testimony of what you did before you met God and how you met him and then what happened afterwards. So
that's beautiful. I'm glad you brought that up because it brings a spiritual perspective to what we're going to be talking about. So we are saluting that. We're talking about men. You know, let's talk about the spiritual aspect of saluting that. What's the expectation? We are all children and then we all become parents at some point in time. Bring that sort of spiritual perspective to being a man, living up to the expectation or the responsibility of a father in front of a child, bringing up another human being. Bring that spiritual perspective so that we can understand what is required, and for women to also understand what is required of us to know, because we give birth, as I keep saying, to these men. So we give birth to the men. I mean, the men is not giving birth. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger did a movie years ago about giving birth, but that was the only movie that ever came out that I know about. So we need to be able to, as women, know how to bring that spiritual perspective
Well,
to the men, so that we can produce the type of men in society and perpetuate and sustain and maintain the type of men in society that we are looking for, that God is looking for.
okay. This is a good time to ask. I've just written a book called The Lord's Prayer Turned Inside Out, my fifth book. And in that, God revealed to me how life is transferred from one generation to the next. And I have never heard anybody talk about it this way, but he said, you men are the way that the breath of life is transferred into the egg of the women. And he said, I've created in you a living cell that can live outside your body and go into the women and fertilize the egg and produce life. And they have proven scientifically that there's a flash of light when conception takes place.
Yes.
And that's the most amazing thing about the man, is that he is vital in that part of life. And also, he's so vital in the family as a protector, so a provider, and also someone that helps reproduce a generation. So my first book about marriage, a handbook, came out with the fact that in Genesis 2:24, God described a marriage, that a man must leave his father and mother, which is very important. I say that means it means to go get a job so he can support. Then he's supposed to cleave to his wife, and then they shall be one flesh, which means in short terms, leave, cleave, and then conceive. In that order. My wife says, in that order.
God don't know what he's doing? The man could rhyme. Leave, cleave,
but my wife says you have to do it in that order. That's very important.
Oh, God.
So that whole book, and you're going to love the title of the book. God told me to title that book, Life is Sexually Transmitted. So I said, Lord, do you really want me to call it that? And he said, yeah, that's a good title. I talk to the Lord a lot.
You should. I do too. It's good.
I would say that being raised, now I didn't, my family never went to church.
Okay.
I was 20 years old before I met the Lord with a little Bible in my car.
Wow.
And, but I was raised with all the Christian principles, because back when my dad and grandparents went to school, they taught the Bible. That was the book I learned to read and write from. So I wish we were doing that today.
Yeah.
But it's very, very fundamental that your parents, if possible, have the right foundation for the children. And that they learn to love those children and cherish them. And once you get that in line, you don't have any trouble being a parent.
Yeah.
In fact, my dad raised 5 boys during the Depression with only 3 rules.
3 rules. What is that?
Well, there were 3 rules for this, for all 5 boys. He said, now, you got to get up when I call you in the morning, because we all had chores to do. Then he said, if you don't work, you don't eat. That's very important. And thirdly, he said, your mother's in charge of everything in the house.
Wow.
But I am in charge of everything else.
So
as long as you're eating at my table.
So once you step out the doors, he's in charge of everything else. But what's within the house is the mom. Wow.
The mother's the house, and the mother go together. And believe me, that's where all the learning takes place as far as the mental part.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not hard to go out and farm and dig the ground and all that, but when you come in the house, you better start minding your manners.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For
And you
someone
get respect for the women there. She can teach you great respect for the women, and I wouldn't envy. I don't envy the women. They're part of this at all.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. For 87 years, you have seen a lot, and I'm thinking a lot of history. Um, what have you noticed over the years growing up as a child in terms of fatherhood to know? What are the changes you have seen? Is it is it looking to you? I don't like to talk doom and gloom, but is it looking to you that there's hope? Is it looking to you that there is need for some sort of intervention? And what sort of intervention is that? Is it looking to you that people have lost that spiritual development, that spiritual connectivity, and they're caught up in the world and have forgotten that there is somebody bigger, higher, stronger, more knowing that could keep the family together? 87 years, William, you have existed, and I thank God you're still alive, and I'm happy to have you on my show because I want to be able to look back once I'm still around, of a person to look back and say, wow, Corinne did a show with this guy. He was 87 at the time. You know, by that time, somebody looking at it, you may have been gone. I may not even be here, but your wisdom stays online. 87 years, what have you seen? What is missing? What intervention is needed? Help us out here for fathers.
Okay, the thing that's missing is the feminization is caused by the feminization of the men, where the women, bless their hearts, decided to get their rights, but they've also actually crushed the manly desires out of the kids, out of the young boys. And it's very hard to raise a boy. It's harder to raise a boy than it is a girl because, believe me, we're much more fragile.
Really?
Absolutely.
Men are much more fragile. Wow.
I had 2 daughters of my own and then a son. And I'd already been told this. And so I was very careful to treat them a little differently because the girls just came out strong. They know what's going on when they're born.
Yeah.
But the little boy is very fragile. And if the mother and the father don't encourage him, like I wanted to be a singing cowboy. My dad wanted all of his boys to be farmers, but he let me chase my dream. And when I was 18, I was headlining on radio and stage, trained a big horse, did all that. And then I met the Lord and he decided I'd make a good engineer. So 9 years later, I was a professional engineer. It's the dream chasing that's the fun. And whether you're a man or a woman, God loves people that will get out and do something. And I tell all of my audiences that he can't steer a parked car.
Yeah.
You got to have a dream so that he can tie onto your dream and help you get it.
Yeah.
So the thing that I've seen, now my son's very strong. He's raised a daughter and a son, and they're very strong. It carries on, but what worries me most is the single mothers and without a father in the house or without the influence. It can be bad if he's mean and so on, but the little boys need a model. I tied on to Gene Autry, who was America's favorite singing cowboy, and I couldn't have done better because I learned his songs and I learned his manner. He wrote the code for the cowboys, 10 rules to be a little cowboy, 10 best rules in the world. And so I had a model as to be a cowboy, but my real model was my dad. And the more older I get, the more I appreciate that he never, ever stopped me dreaming, ever.
Yeah, that is awesome. It's good. I spoke to someone earlier in the series that spoke about letting go of your ego as a man and allowing your children to be who they want to be. And I'm not noticing, some men allowing that. It's like, I grew up in an era where your parents didn't get to achieve certain things and they live vicariously through you. And it's like, I didn't become a doctor, I didn't become this or that, and so you need to become that. And then they put this pressure on children to become the things that they wanted to be, and their children are unhappy.
Right.
And so now you're in the 20th or 21st century, I don't know which century we're in, and you're coming, a mother may be coming from a perspective, allow the children to be who they want to be. Our role as parents is not to push our agenda on them. It is allow them to be who they want to be, because when we are dead and gone, they have to carry on. And even if we are not dead and gone, and they have to still carry on. They move out of the house, they are unhappy. You want to produce a happy, balanced human being.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's your responsibility. Is your responsibility to produce a happy, balanced human being. It's not about you as a parent. It's not about what you want for them. Yes, you want them to be accepted, whatever, but it doesn't matter. Is once you accept you want your child to be confident to accept who they are, and no matter where they are in the world, whoever they are, they accept themselves, so that nobody can come to tell them or break them down. They're strong within their spirit. They're strong within their persona. They can stand up to anything, and they can stand alone. And so, and so spiritual development, the support of your parents, the encouragement of a father. And so, but fathers I found is like, you're supposed to be a man. That's sissy. You want to do dancing? Are you crazy? Only girls do that, right? What are you talking about? You're supposed to be an engineer, or you're supposed to go and study, and you're supposed to get in sports. What are you talking about, playing the piano? What? And I'm like, my God. You see, your child has the talent in a particular area. It is not of you, but it is of the child. Your responsibility is to do whatever it takes to help that child hone that talent, because you don't know where it can go. So when I talk to you about 87 years, I'm half your age. Well, I mean, no, I'm lying. I'm like 25. But right? But let's just assume I'm in my 40s. Let's assume that I come from the era where the parents tell you have to become a doctor, a lawyer. I didn't have this, so you must have that. And I am looking at life and I'm like, I am not taking on that responsibility. That was yours. That was yours. You didn't get it. That have nothing to do with me. That was you. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I don't have to follow your path. And there causes the difference, the contention between you and your parent. And it's like, oh, you want to do something on your own? Go about your business. Go on your own and do it. You're not staying in this house, or we don't know you. I'm like, it's like a form of punishment.
It is.
And why punish children for being who they want to be? That is not what parenting is supposed to be about. That is not what love is supposed to be about. Love is giving. It's not a matter of getting back. When you truly love, you're not supposed to be looking to get anything in return. It's to give, 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 give. I don't know how many times I need to say this. Just keep giving.
I'm aware that the difference between law and grace is that grace always produces givers. Under the law, which the Lord says will kill the spirit, it's always taking, not giving, but taking. Now you can choose either path, and as we grow in Christ, we are between these two walls to keep us safe. But I would say one of the best things I ever did, and my wife, we immediately started going to church when we were married, and we always took the children.
Of course.
And we entered into everything. We taught, and we were always the last out of church, still are.
Yeah.
But I look back and think that the time I took, even though I had a very busy schedule as an engineer, and it was busy, I always had Sunday. I always took Sunday and we went to church together. And then we'd go out to have a lunch somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Best parts of my life, yeah.
Yeah. So over the 87 years, how have you seen fatherhood changed from your time with your father to now? What is happening with the fathers now? What would
Well,
you say to
I
them?
am,
What
I
would
am,
you say to the fathers now? And what would you say to the women who are looking for those strong men to be fathers in the home?
well, I would say they need to watch a lot more of the old Westerns.
Yeah.
I was amazed at how high a pedestal I put women on as a youth, growing out of the Depression and World War II. I lived through all that,
Mm-hmm.
and I always put the women up on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to the old Westerns, which Ann and I watch a lot,
Yeah.
it's the old Westerns are a duplication of life like no other
Mm.
production has come up with.
Yeah.
They just keep it simple. You got the good guys, the bad guys, the innocent people, and you got good winning over evil
Mm-hmm.
most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the trauma of life.
Mm.
And it was very brutal back then.
Oh.
I know what you think of the guns, but I loved carrying two guns when I was on stage.
At least
I,
you carry
I,
two guns on stage. I ain't carrying none.
I always felt safer when Gene Autry and Roy Rogers were in the room with me carrying two guns on their hips than I do now.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, gosh. But yeah, the man, if a man, even the boys today, my son is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
He knows exactly what he wants his kids to do, and he's raised some great grandchildren. And we have, Ann and I together, have 5 great grandchildren.
Wow.
And we're just proud that all of our children turned out well,
Mm-hmm.
successful. None of them are on drugs or anything like that. None of them have been outside the law. Isn't that amazing? We
Yeah,
got that.
that is still, you have to be thankful. And I'm wondering, you know what just flashed across my mind, William, is it, you have those people who live away from, let's call it civilization. But I wonder if they are more civilized than us.
I wonder
I am
that
serious.
myself.
I am serious. I look at other people. People will look down on them and say, "Oh, you don't even have TV. You don't have Wi-Fi. You don't even using a cell phone. You're still chopping wood, right?"
I chopped wood until I was 18.
and the Hamish is what I'm trying to say. Those people that just live to themselves. They live off the farm. They're so damn healthy. It's amazing. Their skin is fabulous. They're not running to a doctor, and they live together. They know about communal living. They know about going to church.
Right.
They know about family. They know about support. They know about love. And outside, they don't interact with anything outside of that community. They support their people, stores, shops. They support their people, so the money is circulating there. And people who are outside, like us, living in the world here, are looking at them and saying, what kind of life is that? I can't do that. No Wi-Fi, no this, no that. And they would think that, we would think we are more civilized than they are. But I will tell you something. I am looking, and I'm telling you, those people are more civilized than us. They have more manners. The men know how to treat the women. The women know how to respect and treat the men. The children are grown properly. They're still educated. They might seem like they're not a fit in when they eventually come out into the world, and they might say, oh, when they eventually, they might even be against their parents for stopping them from missing out on what they think they're missing out on. But when they really go back to their core, they realize, oh my God, I really have a foundation here that my parents taught me on the Hamish community. That is a good thing that I grew up so that I'm solid and strong. I'm not going to be influenced by the drugs, by the shiny object syndrome out there. I'm not caught up in that, because that is not who I am, who I'm about. I know how to treat a woman. I know how to be a man. I know how to provide for my family. So I'm thinking, look at where you are. You know, the kind of upbringing, the Western, you talk about Western. I mean, I grew up on Western. Come on. I mean, shooting while you're riding on a horse, right? The Apaches, right? Living off on their little settlements. You know, one person have to come in to talk to the other person from on the other side of the world, and they have the little powwow talk, and then they go back, and then they discuss with the chief. And, you know, there was no cell phone to call chief, right?
They treated the older people as wise and with great respect. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm saying to you, look at where you are and how you have grown your son in a sort of community that is away. You still have that sort of life going on with you, like a sort of Hamish communal upbringing. You didn't get caught up with the Wi-Fi and the stuff, even though we're doing internet now, but you know, but you just living a simple life. Is so simple, but we make it so complicated.
Well, the thing that you learn growing up the way you're talking is common sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not common at all.
Oh, yeah.
Is to be able to reason through. I figured out that there's 3 stages of life. You spend 20 to 30 years gathering information. Mm-hmm. You spend another 20 to 30 processing it into knowledge, which is how to use it. And then you got another 20 to 30 or more of wisdom, all 3. And that comes from the ability to figure out which one of these you're using all the time, the information or the knowledge or both. It's just putting it all together. And you can't, it's hard to move the last one into the front.
Yeah.
It sort of has to take its pattern in your life. And to me, the greatest lessons I ever learned were training horses and ponies when I was little.
Yeah.
When I realized one day when I was about 12, 13 years old that this horse did not understand what I was trying to teach it. Mm-hmm. And then I said, I've got to learn to think like the horse.
Yeah.
And when I did, I had no problem teaching this horse to go on stage, pray with me up there, lay down for me, walk on his knees. Wow. Oh, he did a whole show, 45-minute show with him in nightclubs and theaters when I was 18.
No, somebody listening to us say, how do you think like a horse? You're not
I learned it all to think like a horse. No, and I had to be an engineer. I had to learn to think like an engineer.
Yeah.
When I became a husband and a father, I had to learn to think like them. So it's all a matter of deciding to learn the rules.
I love that. And that's a great way to end the show, William. Deciding to learn the rules. You know, you're involved with someone, you're interacting with people at work, because you're going to be interacting with people no matter what you do. Once you're living on the earth, you're going to interact with people. So understanding the rules. And I like how you said it. You're trying to connect. You're trying to communicate. You're trying to teach. You're trying to whatever. And you're not getting through. You realize the person is not understanding you. You have to understand that other person.
Right.
Come out of yourself. It's not about you. Understand that other person and be able to put yourself in that person's shoes, like they say, and then be able to communicate and then be able to relate. And
that's when trust takes over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The horse trusted me, or he wouldn't have gone into all those, all those bright lights and band behind us and all kinds.
Yeah,
walking through crowds of people.
Yeah, the noise and the distractions. Yeah.
And if his eyes were always on me, and if I got upset, he would get upset. So there's tremendous power, and just if you're just around a horse for a little while,
I love horses.
It'll be the best part of your life.
I love horses, but I respect them. Growing up, I'll tell you, I need to really come out where you are. I'm telling you, because I love horses. I have this connection with horses. I find they're such beautiful animals.
Oh, me too.
My childhood book was Black Beauty. Everything for me was
I love you.
Everything for me was about a horse. I harassed my mother. Now I live in the Caribbean, so you don't really have horses like that. And I'm telling you, I was just smitten, and I've never forgotten Black Beauty. Never. I don't even know where that book is in the house right now, but I can see the book in my mind. Black Beauty was it. I read it cover to cover. I watched the movie. I know everything about Black Beauty. I, my father was a policeman, God bless his soul, and I begged my mother to ask my father, I want a horse. And and she's like, where would you keep the horse, Corinne? I'm like, in the yard. It have grass outside. In the there's no space, but I'm like, in the yard. I already saw the horse out there, and I want that horse in the yard. There's grass. I knew nothing about, I just saw myself stroking the horse, brushing him, talking to him, I riding. I just
they're God's gift to mankind. That's what
Black Beauty. And when I was in Jamaica, because I was living in Jamaica, I was walking on the road, and there were two horses they had, tied up. Policemen were there, and they had it near a tree. And I wanted to pass, and for the life of me, William, I couldn't pass. And I stopped and I said, could I take a picture with the horse? And they said, sure. And I took the picture because I just couldn't, my spirit just couldn't pass the horse. And I had to stop. And I posted it up on Facebook, I think some years ago. But I remember the spot. I know the spot. And the horses were so beautiful, so well groomed, brown. And there's so much muscle. They seem so strong, elegant animals. Yeah. The only thing is that they can kick you. And they always say never stand behind a horse. So
yeah. You're safe there as long as you got a hand on the hip.
Really?
The hand will tell you whether they're going to kick or not.
I'm not going to wait to find out if they're going to kick me, because I know that power is going to have me dead by the time. So I don't play with that. And you need to trust. Horses need to trust you. Animals need to trust you.
Oh, yes. Then they do. They do. They let you do almost anything. Remember, I had to wash King from top to bottom, and that was a very tender thing to do.
Yeah. You have to have trust. And I've never forgotten that as a child. And I think
I can tell.
Yeah, yes. It is still in me. Black Beauty. I will never forget it as a child.
I remember the book well. Yes.
Yeah. And I always dream of living on a farm. I told somebody that. I said I could live on a farm. I can do waking up early in the morning, taking out eggs from under chicken. I can rake up. I just love waking up. I mean, I'm not doing it here right now, but I would do it if I'm on a farm. Wake up early.
I did all that.
Yeah, I just find that living so releasing, so fresh, so, because it's not about you. You get up and you do your chores, then mommy's cooking inside, or whatever you bring from outside, she cooks. It's just the love. I think it's because it's coming from a place of love, William.
They do. A horse will bring the love out of anybody if they'll just let them. Yes.
But we as humans need to learn from animals, and we as humans need to, just like how you have lived for 87 years, you have seen a lot, you have experienced a lot, you have trained a lot. Train not only animals, but your children and your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And I honor you for doing that, still being around, and I'm thankful for you being on my show today. I thank you.
Well, I trained a lot of engineers too. I was an engineer for 40 years, so I trained a lot of them. But after they got out of school, I had to teach them common sense.
Well, yeah. It's not so common, right?
Right. But I sure enjoyed this show with you, Corinne. I hope we can meet someday.
We will. Make sure you have Black Beauty there when I get there.
Well, you're welcome here anytime. I live in the Daytona Beach area.
Oh, nice. And your wife is going to cook a nice meal for me. I'm looking forward to that.
She can cook.
She can cook. Oh, good. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, William, for being here. I really appreciate you. It's an honor.
Well, thank you. It's an honor for me and for Ann.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.